on the table. And that, I think, could be an interesting program. But the thing is that administratively, the rural usually is under regional or national administration. The city has its own local administration, and there's not that. That's the policy that has to maybe be somehow changed a little bit.
Of course, I agree that we have to take care of the fact that city is not only building. I mean, in the concept of city must be also the concept of agriculture. Agriculture is not another side of something else. I think the city must include also agricultural areas, and we are doing now, for instance, in Modena, a new rethinking on how we can bring some soils to get back to agriculture. Now they are, yes, not used, and so there's a thinking. So it's not enough to have urban agriculture for elderly people. So it's not enough. We have to bring back, that is also economic, people to agriculture, also if they live in the city. So, I mean, we must not say that the city is only what we say, what we see as a building, I mean. And that could be a new way to see how our cities can improve health. And so I agree that what we can do strictly connected with citizens can be perhaps more than what local government, national government can do. Of course, there should be a connections. I mean, local government can do a lot, but in a context that helps.
There's no more time, but thank you so much. This is a wonderful panel. Thank you so much. And now we have a little interlude. We have students from the Holon Institute of Technology put together a wonderful 1-minute video. And just to frame it, it's about the effect what we eat has on the environment. So I'd like you to watch this 1-minute movie. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ariel. I live in Tel Aviv and I'm 12 years old. And I'm vegan. I'm here to speak for the next generation. And I think we need to think more about the future of our planet. We need to think more about how the way we eat now will affect the future of the planet. For example, did you know that 60% of corn and soy in the world are used just to feed the animals that we're going to eat anyway? Do you know how many people we can feed with that amount of food? This results in us wasting twice the amount of food that we should be, and it causes more pollution and global warming. I think the best way to minimize all that is to reduce the amount of meat and replace it with more plant-based foods. So I'm asking you, leaders who have great influence over whole communities, to try to make the world a better place for future generations. If we all work together, we can make a change by moving to more plant-based diets. Thank you.
Thank you, that was wonderful. Okay, now the next speaker, name's much easier for me to pronounce. I had to travel almost 7,000 miles to meet somebody who works probably 2 miles from me. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker is Barbara Turr. No? Becky Ramsey, I'm sorry. So I had 200 miles from where I am, I'm sorry, and Becky Ramsey. But she is a colleague because she is also a dietitian. And Becky, please.
Thank you. I actually don't even feel like I need to talk now after that little film and her presentation here because she really gave me a great introduction. I am going to talk about one part of the food system that impacts both health and sustainability. It's one of many issues. There's a lot of issues in the food system, as we've heard today, but it uniquely impacts across multiple sectors, and that is meat consumption. Okay, sorry, that was already there. So there's many driving, let me just tell you a little bit about where I work. So I work in Baltimore. I work in a center called the Center for a Livable Future, part of Johns Hopkins University. We work toward a sustainable food system, acknowledging all the intersections of health, environment, diet, and food production, and the many influences around that, such as population growth, climate disruption, and such. We support and conduct interdisciplinary research. We educate and train students and professionals. We communicate and generate resources and materials and provide technical expertise. And also partner with other organizations to improve the food system and strengthen regional capacity. I really just want to acknowledge that the food system is very complex. There's many circular, influences on this whole value chain that we usually talk about. All along that value chain, there's these influences around it. Skip that. There are many driving forces shaping our future food systems now, particularly in urban areas. We've heard this a lot today, but such as demographic changes, increasing incomes, but also widening inequalities, climate change and resource scarcity, changing consumer preferences and diets that impact nutrition and health. As a result, urban growth presents a challenge from both production and consumption perspectives. 55% of the world's population today live in urban settings, but in 2015, it's predicted to be about 68%. And these challenges encompass many different issues, from people to consumption. Although the greater attention in the literature is often, around climate change literature is often placed on agricultural yield and food availability, the impacts actually of incomes, livelihoods, and therefore access to food are equally important to food security and health. Changing diets also have a toll, a bidirectional toll, I might say, on climate and health. So that's where meat comes in. Nowhere is more important, more apparent with this bidirectional relationship of meat consumption, which is growing globally and predicted to continue to grow, especially as incomes rise. Animals are the most resource resource-intensive and climate-impactful category of food, and it disproportionately affects land, water, energy, and also the health of the communities and the people around it. Animal production weighs heavily on the environment, as we know. 70% of fresh water is used for agriculture, and most of that is for livestock. Livestock also requires great amounts of land, resulting in land degradation and destruction of valuable rainforests. Also uses a greater amount of fossil fuels, 11 times more energy to produce beef than a grain, and it produces about 14.5% of global greenhouse gases.